It's almost. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the show. How are you? And hi. And hey. How you doing, everybody? Yes, not yet. We are on the stream, which I will always say hi to, hi stream for ice cream. All right. There we are. Hey, everybody. Do I Google alert my name? No. Should I? Did something come up? Have I been named in a series of? Am I being Cuomo'd all of a sudden? Right. All right. We're starting. Sorry. Here we go. I think we're starting.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Live exclusively for WCPT in Chicago, standing up and speaking out, here's Hal Sparks.
You know, it's rare, I have to say, and especially over the last 4 years, 5-ish, that you get to start a show that we're glad to do here every week and welcome. That you get to go. The Democrats presented a bill in Congress, and it made its way all the way to the president's signature intact. The amazing part, I think the news of the week for a lot of people is indeed not the fact that the $1.9 trillion package, Biden's package is bigger than any package that Trump has ever presented, and I'm sure that drags on him a bit. Hey, now. But there is, in all seriousness, a reality to the fact that the Republicans are having a really hard time fighting this. Right? That's quit. Don't. Yeah. No. I'm fine with it actually. So. Hey now. Right. Yeah. It works for me. There has to be at some point a reckoning in terms of the Republicans and their voters. One would think. I mean, it hasn't come so far, and certainly the Q crowd isn't expecting things to go south anytime soon. They're still, in large part, hanging in there. They're trying to make it as best they can, and saying, Trump's still going to be president. He's still, he's still the ruler of the land. The land and the king are one. And the Republicans have been, and continue to, court this crowd as if it's hard to boil down the biggest mistake of the Republican Party over the last little bit, but this is pretty huge. They're still running as if the Trump crowd and which is beyond the just MAGA crowd, the fringe that is their activist class, and the Q crowd are worth having. Our reliable voters are, no. And it is stunning to me personally that there is in fact a growing number of Republicans that are strategizing at the very least on a way to push back against this, on a way to turn, bring the party back to the Kasich and Jeb Bush wins of yesteryear. To right the ship into the, however squirrely and blind-sided ethics of Mitt Romney, where, when you're gross, it's mostly an accident because of how the circles you run in, not because you genuinely think women are a problem that need to be dealt with. You know what I mean? It's like you think. Sure, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And in the case of, what the remnants of the Republican Party will be, and the strategy that Biden and the Democrats have taken on, and this lack of, I see, of respect and fear for Biden on both sides. That there's a growing respect in the upper levels of government, even amongst the Bernie crowd in the Senate at least, about how functional Biden is. He worked the phones on this bill. He kept it intact. He talked to people, stragglers who were, planning we'll withhold all our votes if everything we want isn't in there, including the $15 minimum wage, which again would have kept it from passing, not because of Democrats, but because there weren't 10 Republicans to be had. There was no way that they could reach the 60 vote threshold. That would have put it in the 60 vote threshold. They could not have passed it with the 50-49 or the 51-50, the Van Halen vote, Van Hagar, really, vote that they would have had to pass it. It is. We're in the Van Hagar age of the Senate right now, and I'm for it. Don't get me started on a cul-de-sac that only you and I care about. I've had this argument with the guys in Nerd Halen. It tears at us. Ding. Yeah. Whenever they try to fit, it would have sounded like Extreme, and that was the problem. It would have, yeah, it would have, and it would have been the same lyrics as Extreme and that kind of stuff, and it, yeah. We're not going to swap Eddie Van Halen for Nuno Battencourt or the other way around. I have too much respect for both of them. Yes, for Eddie and the South American people. So in general, I see. Does he now? Hold on one second. I'm getting word that they can't hear you, which is aside from the applause, I couldn't figure out what was wrong.
Oh, that's horrible because I am killing this morning.
Yeah, now you are. Now you're on. Now you can. Now it's thank you.
Oh, it's a second of that.
Yeah, now it's all fixed. So I'm glad we fixed that. So over there, and in terms of wrangling votes for this bill, there was only one Democratic defection. Representative Jared Golden of Maine. He represents the 2nd district.
It's okay to hate him. It's okay to hate this book by its cover.
And Jared has on his website a shot of himself helping serve food, or at least getting food at some sort of gathering. I can't tell if he's the one helping or not because of the picture's very odd. A picture of him with some cows, and then a picture of his sign at the Capitol. And he's got a whole thing on being prepared for coronavirus. He's, he has latest news available. Golden statement on votes against firearm legislation. He's voting against that. It's him and the cows against the guns. Golden State legislation, and this
is why cows would be against guns.
Sure, yeah. Let's see.
Move that thing out of my face.
This is his statement on why he voted against it. This is the only Democrat that voted against it in the House. Golden, borrowing and spending hundreds of billions more in excess of meeting the most urgent needs poses a risk to both our economic recovery and the priorities I would like to work with the Biden administration to achieve, like rebuilding our nation's infrastructure and fixing our broken and unaffordable health care system. After voting against the $1.9 trillion legislative package to address the coronavirus pandemic last month, Congressman Jared Golden will once again vote against the legislation after it was amended by the Senate. Before the vote, he released the following statement. I'll vote against the coronavirus relief legislation passed by the Senate over the weekend. While the Senate made modest changes to the legislation, some of those changes undermine parts of the bill I do support, and others were insufficient to address my concerns with the overall size and scope of the bill. Although I support the Senate's effort to reduce the number of wealthier households that will receive stimulus checks, they did not go far enough, and other changes like removing the minimum wage increase or providing a lower unemployment benefit undermined policies that I support. I voted for a $15 minimum wage in the last Congress, and given that opportunity, I intend to do so again. So here's the one guy that held out is voting against gun legislation and voted against the $1.9 trillion American Rescue Plan because it didn't have the $15 minimum wage, and which would have scuttled the bill and made it go away. It is interesting that as the one who did not vote, you would think there's a sort of simple way to pocket this guy. that you would look at Jared Golden and go, well, clearly he's conservative. He's a conservative Democrat because he's in Maine. He's got a bunch of pictures with cows, and he's going to vote against the gun legislation bill. Or he's obviously a hyper-liberal, far to the left of even the squad, because he refused to vote on the bill because it didn't have the $15 minimum wage increase, and that was his line. And that, in many ways, Jared Golden sums up the reality of democracy in our country right now. That on the Democratic side, there are differences of opinion and strategy that are broad and varied, and the very people that you think you can pigeonhole share a good deal of your values, and then oddly will pick something that, sticks, that you go, I don't even know why that is a problem for you.
Is there a chance that he was just pandering to his constituents?
Hey now. That doesn't really work with a hey now, does it? Unless you...
I don't know.
It depends on what he's
wearing.
I mean,
I shoehorned in a cow pun. I think hey now is fine in that context.
I think so. I have a... there may be... Hold on.
Do you have a Hank Hey now?
No, I do not. Of course not. I have... This is the best I have. That's it. That was literally it. That was the... I think it quite frankly deserved this. But anyways, next time
if not the epitome of a sad trombone.
That's right. Absolutely. His constituents, really?
I started this and I'm sad.
Yes, you should. Yeah, you're responsible for dad joking the show right out of the gate. But this
right out of the gate.
But it is fascinating to me, and why I wanted to bring up Jared Golden at the top of the show, and the fact that his main reason for holding out was that he wanted the threshold for who gets the money to be lower. Like, $80,000 and $160 for couples was too high for him. He wanted it closer to $50 to $60, apparently. And by the way, he's not voting for the gun legislation. And he wanted the $15 minimum wage in there, which would have destroyed the bill. And overall, as the one standout, it creates a sort of Gordian knot-like political puzzle for those that would support or defend or be concerned with his legislative priorities as a representative from the 2nd District of Maine. And the dude is cutting himself a swath of the electorate that maybe he's shooting for, like a Democratic version of the Kinzinger crowd, where he's like, look,
they are so mad at him.
Yeah.
And I stumbled across some thread. I was either on Twitter or maybe even like Reddit, where like Republicans are they're like, he's a traitor.
Brutal.
Like they are so mad at him for like just common sense.
Yeah, it's brutal. And like I said, he's one of that growing crowd that's trying to right the ship. Which is, by the way, already capsized and full of sharks, but whatever. We're already at the point where, Quinn has been chewed up, the giant rubber shark has gnawed the back off the boat, and you're gonna...
But I remember, like, the day, I don't know if it was the day after the election when everything was ridiculous and everybody was screaming voter fraud.
Yeah.
Because I lived in that district that... Like, he was my congressman for a long time.
Right.
And he drove me crazy.
Right.
And then I saw a tweet from him because of where I live that said, hey, we all want all the legal votes to be counted, but let's not spread disinformation.
Right.
And I was like,
what?
Oh,
right.
What?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I agree. I was like the Fonz. I couldn't say I agree with him.
Yeah. Well, and that is... the outliers in our political discourse right now, which hopefully because of Biden's strategy will start to gain ground, will start to get some voice. I don't know why he's not a guest on, CNN and Meet the Press on equal footing with Lindsey Graham and the like, since Lindsey Graham is, you know what he's going to say every time, and B, none of it ever pans out. We have to take a break, but when we come back, I want to play what Ron Johnson said about the insurrection, because if you were seeking the single worst Republican, quote, in public, I'm sure, caveat being that I'm sure in private.
Imagine what they say in private.
When they think the mic is off, right. But singularly, probably the worst thing I've heard him say, and that's saying a lot. We got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. The Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. WCPT820.com is the website. And of course, we're on the Sexy Liberal Podcast Network as the Hal Sparks Radio Podcast.
Duh.
Worldwide. Duh. Hi, Chris. He ends up cutting it. He has to cut he puts it together.
Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Chris. We love you, Chris. Hi, Chris.
For adding the laugh track.
Thank you for putting in the. No, that's the wrong one. There you go. That's much better.
I think the dramatic gong after a bad dad joke. It's just like
every time. That would be
just
so
like,
great.
and I meant it.
Yeah, right.
Holy moly.
Yeah.
Lisa is out there baking something lovely for me.
Oh boy.
For my 12-year anniversary.
Oh, that's right.
Come back in 60 seconds, guys.
Excellent.
All right. It's like, it looks like it's some sort of orangey thing, like she zested some oranges.
Mm-hmm.
I love me an orange cake.
Oh, you take the...
Yeah, you scratch just the outside off.
Oh, that's nice.
So it's got like that nice tang and it's fresh and...
That's, well, you know.
All right.
By the way...
now.
Hey, now.
Michigan gave us Motang.
Yes, they did. Thank you, Michigan.
We have a new T-shirt. We have a new T-shirt for sale. The Motang shirt is now on Teespring. I was trying to find it during the break so I could put it on the
Oh, what's your Teespring shop link? Is it on your site?
Yeah, it's the.
Okay, I'll find it.
Yeah, it's the Hal Sparks Bazaar.
Oh, okay.
This is Tom Hartman, and you're listening to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide on Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT.
You know, there's a lot of awful in the Republican Party. There's a lot of Russian footsie and all that stuff, and QAnon Ron or Russian Ron Johnson, however you want to put it, has really dug in there. It seems like he's seeing some sort of financial upside to being a Trump long hauler, and he just thinks that, we're all in a branding universe right now. You can't, appeal to all the people all the time. You'll never, you'll be a bland product. So Ron Johnson decided to find the tightest, most psychotic niche and burrow in there like a swamp leech. And this is what he had to say about how he felt during the insurrection. I'm going to put him up over your face for a moment there, Johnny, so people can see
That's okay.
this lovely dome there as well.
No, and let's face it, I'm also criticized because I've made the comment that on January 6th, I never felt threatened, because I didn't. And mainly because I knew that even though those thousands of people that were marching to the Capitol were trying to pressure people like me to vote the way they wanted me to vote, I knew those are people that love this country, that truly respect law enforcement.
Which is wow. And this is, by the way, this isn't him saying this on the 7th before we found out Officer Sicknick had died and another had lost his eye. That 2 more had committed suicide, that they were beating cops with Blue Lives Matter flags.
Never do anything to break a law.
Never. They would never do anything to break a law. I mean, they were all trespassing, but, only about, 5% of them smashed windows personally or broke things personally. And only about 3% of that 5% actually rubbed feces on the walls.
So I wasn't concerned. Now, had the tables been turned, and Joe, this got me in trouble.
Yes, it did.
The tables been turned, and President Trump won the election, and those were tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Here's the last little bit of that. Yeah.
Tens of thousands of Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters, I might have been a little concerned.
Yeah. And he led with Black Lives Matter. You know what I mean? Like, you could have just said Antifa and left the sort of vision of masked, black-clad, umbrella soup throwing.
Stop it, I'm scared already. I'm scared.
Yeah, people who are,
soup for my family.
bringing soup for their family and throwing,
People coming over with bags of soup, big bags of soup.
Antifa and the attacks that they.
When's the last time you cracked open a bag of soup to feed your family?
I know. I mean,
No, this is soup for my family. They're so innocent. This is soup for my family.
so
If anyone knows So Innocent,
yes, so
him.
and this I would guess, in talking about Kitzinger and then talking about Ron Johnson, this is the gamut in the Republican Party right now.
Yeah,
These
it really is yin and yang.
Yeah, the polar opposites of this kind of circumstance. The problem is Ron Johnson represents a huge number of Republicans as far as thinking, and Kitzinger is an enemy in his own country. He's an enemy of the state within the GOP. There is and I will, there's a lot going into this bill that's complicated. There's a lot of elements of the bill that deal with the ramifications of what's happened over the last year, the true damage done. Think of it. I think of the initial COVID bills last year at the beginning when we thought this would be short. That we thought, okay, we're going to temporarily give people UI for maybe 3 months, maybe 4 months. If we'll have to do an extension if we need that. They dragged their buttocks on that extension.
I mean, and you can understand it because I made decisions like that.
Yes.
I made decisions thinking this was going to be a few months at most.
Right. And this, it works out to me as a medical diagnosis where they diagnose you with sort of a skin condition and they medicate you for that skin condition, and there's danger of that skin condition becoming infected and other things like that. And for a while, that's how you handle it. And you re-up and they go back and go, let me try this prescription, see if that works. And then find out that no, actually, this is a genetic disorder or cancer or caused by some other disorder that's going to take a lot more treatment to fix. And you'll die within the next 2 years if we don't deal with this. It's that kind of, and that happens in the medical establishment all the time. Those kind of things occur daily, I would imagine, amongst doctors and patients across the country and across the world. And very much, Trump, in many ways, like he treats his own physical health, was going, it's nothing. We'll fix it with $2 billion. And the Democrats are saying, no, we're going to give you $8 billion, and it still won't be enough. And we're going to need to look at what the economic indicators show when we have to, as things get worse, because this is looking bad. If we're looking at how China's handling this, we don't have the ability to handle it the way China handles it because we're not going to put people in metal boxes. And so it's going to spread in a way that other authoritarian regimes don't have to worry about. And this will be a relatively big package. I mean, I remember, as astounded as people were with the, what was effectively a $1.6 trillion package last time, with 6 to 8 being directly out and a bunch of loan guarantees and forgivable loan guarantees. There was a lot of malleability as everybody tried to check the depth of this sinkhole that we were looking at. And what the American Rescue Act really is about is recognizing the depth of the damage and making sure that the economy is made whole in a way that, during the recovery of 2008, we allowed ourselves to believe that, well, if there needed to be more and it was an issue, the Republicans would sort of play fair, and there was still some negotiating room. They were still acting in good faith on some level. They weren't, but their predecessors had, and we had a functioning government, and we were just not aware of just how craven and morally barren the Republican Party had become. I mean,
that's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, considering the Wu memos during the Bush administration about torture and the like, that a lot of people didn't see it coming as quickly as it came, or that it was unsalvageable. The awareness that the Republican Party, as it currently stands, is not a functioning political party.
No.
It is effectively Trump's wall. No matter how much wailing and gnashing of teeth you have with will Mitt Romney or Susan Collins or Murkowski or somebody vote with the Democrats, ultimately it was still a wall. Ultimately, no matter how much their constituents, and especially in the states we're talking about, like Utah and Maine and places like that, where the Republicans of those states versus, let's say, Texas or Idaho or Montana, Michigan, the off the res Republicans who are just have forgotten all semblance of whatever platform they once believed in, and are now a full-on militia QAnon crowd. The Utahs and the Maine and to some degree Alaska and other places, the viability of maintaining your candidacy if you support a bill that in general is supported by your constituents and overwhelmingly supported by Americans, there's a safety in that. 10, 15 years ago, there really is no version of the Republican Party where a $1.9 trillion rescue package after a 1-year pandemic where we've all been locked down, where we've lost hundreds of millions of small businesses, where we've lost 500,000 lives, and countless others who were sort of tangential deaths, or thousands of others who didn't get the treatment they needed because they were locked away. They were hiding from this particular virus because they had immunodeficiency issues or something like that. There's a lot to this that in a sane universe would have brought old-fashioned Republicans, the Moynahans of the world, I guess, the people that they believed in the 80s and early 90s to the table. And it wouldn't have gotten a lot, but it would have cleared in negotiation the 62 vote threshold. And after some, the Rand Pauls of the caucus had gotten their chance to filibuster for a short time just to get their message across, and left most of the Republicans to stay intact by not voting for it. But it would have cleared that 60 vote threshold. That's just gone. Like, the idea of even believing in the negotiating power of the Republican Party right now is absurd. And it is why they are arguing cancel culture and their fear of heterosexual men posing as trans people just to participate in girls' sports, which apparently keeps them up at night. That is the entire function of the Republican Party, because you are the function.
That's all they have.
Yeah. If two of your people are whinging about it, but ultimately don't vote for a bill, it's what you do. It's your actions that define the character of your party, not even what you say at the podium in your break. So anyways, we got to take a break. We'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide, on WCPT Radio, Chicago's Progressive Talk. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. We're trying to raise our threshold to 1,000 patron supporters. Please join us.
This benefits me as well.
It does. It really does. We actually are, growing as a show. We cleared that 500 threshold, and now we're actually being able to be a real show. It's amazing. Thank you.
No weirdo left behind. Wow. Sometimes I forget about my songs. I like that one.
Yeah, it is good. And by the way,
I still need to send you that stuff for D.
Yes, you do.
How should I send it? Like Dropbox?
Yeah, that works. I mean, yeah.
Because I know that you disdain Spotify.
Yes, I do.
But I'm on Spotify.
And
I'm on Apple Music.
Oh, well then I'll just I'll gift it to him on Apple Music.
Oh, that'd be adorable.
That's what you do.
All right, I'll send you the links to the ones I think you might like.
Okay, great.
Because it's like I don't have an album yet. It's a bunch of singles.
Yeah, I have looked. I know. I'm aware. I think I have them all. So yeah. Yeah. Well, there we go. We need an unweaponized army of mental health care professionals. Yes. Just for the
weaponized. Come on.
Just for the Republican Party. Everyone from Australia just read Trump could be indicted in days. Hell yeah, justice coming. Yeah, I mean, I'm not doing one of these. They're rounding people up. JFK Jr. is going to be here any day now.
Remember how people sounded with Hillary going like, she's going to be arrested, and you're all going to see.
Dude, there was an article in, I want to say it's HuffPost, that one of the writers there, his mother is a Q. Like, she's full on dug in. She's not going anywhere. And she thinks Biden's been dead for 2 years.
Hell yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I am here for that.
Yeah, right. And that, they arrested him and executed him. But wait, I don't know why. I don't know why, but apparently they're going to arrest the doubles soon.
60 seconds.
Why would you do that? Well, half those people believe that. And thank you, Devin. Half those people believe that it's hard to keep straight. That Trump is wearing that it's face off. That is, that Trump is literally dressed as Biden or performing as Biden. Like, it's whack job stuff, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, we're coming.
She is cooking all kinds of stuff in that other room.
I am jealous.
Me too, because I'm in here.
Let's see. Oh, no, I think it was Salon. Oh, yeah, that's where the article was. I'll find it. I was reading it when I got up at buttocks in the morning to prep for the show. Welcome back. So, Johnny and I, during the break, were talking about a BuzzFeed writer who believes that whose mother is a full-on Q, still locked in, and.
But like Q plus, I haven't even heard of these.
Yeah. Well, the problem is that it has to ratchet up because, like I've said before, people would rather be right than happy. You know what I mean? Because
so often
happiness is fleeting, but if I'm right, I can win, and that's the idea. And so a lot of people will, lock into this kind of stuff, and I want to find. Yeah, here he goes. Trump may be back. She texted him on March 3rd. Trump may be back. The military has all the evidence of election fraud. That's the Mike Flynn believers. I still believe Biden is not real. He has been arrested and executed a few years ago for crimes against humanity. Eventually, the Biden double will be arrested. That's okay if you don't believe what I believe just because you haven't seen the evidence. I understand. We'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah. But does she have the documents?
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. Trump's going to be back. He's coming down here. He's. I talked to him yesterday over erectile dysfunction pills. The level that you have to keep going with this stuff, and there is a parallel track, and this is kind of what I'm pointing out. There is a parallel track of the QAnons just ratcheting up the lunacy of reassuring themselves that this is still going to play out, that there's still something here. And on the other end,
that's a lonely place to be, man.
But there is an absolute parallel track. There's another arm of this catamaran or whatever they're called, where in the lane, the other train track is holding the regular Republican wheel. And they're believing the same thing, just kind of a watered down version of it. That, yeah, Biden's not going to get arrested, but Kamala Harris is going to replace him because of the 25th Amendment, because he's losing his mind. And he's got dementia, and it's not a stutter, he's weak, and he's going to step down. And that Trump is going to come back in 2024 and win, and probably, they wink and nod at he'll pass some sort of bill that allows him, that he was denied his first term by fake election stuff and attacks about the fake Russia scandal, and therefore he'll serve 8 years in one fell swoop. It is hard for me to understand how there is any intrinsic difference between those two thought forms. Is it any nuttier in its grasp of reality than this guy's mom, who believes that there's a dude in a Biden mask running things, who, by the way, works for Trump, but is also at some point going to get arrested for what he's doing. Why would you arrest the dummy that's actually doing Trump's ideas? Because they believe that that's what Biden is doing, that all the good stuff that's happening, like the stock market going to 32K and all that kind of stuff, is...
Oh, yeah. It's so handy to be able to just, pick and choose the good things that are happening.
Yeah. And
then blame the real Biden for the things they don't like.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got, of course, the talking point on the right currently is that Biden is is at one time a Machiavellian crook who runs a criminal empire that is unequaled on the planet, that would make...
I'm listening.
Yeah. And on the other side, can barely put two words together and can't tie his shoes, and has clearly got signs of dementia, can't remember anything, and it's worrying everyone in the Beltway, that kind of thing. None of which, by the way, is true. And if you watched yesterday Biden's Rose Garden gathering, where he's name-checking all the Congress people and the senators there, talking about legislation that they'd worked out and how big, trying not to say this is a big effing deal. Oh, Rocky Mountain Mike, thanks so much. He's got a real job now. Everybody, by the way...
What? Rocky Mountain Mike has a real job?
I would like to say that Rocky Mountain Mike's his website and his YouTube page are a real job. Rocky Mountain Mike, I take issue with what you've posted in the chat. I think you absolutely have a real job. You're a necessity, I would say. Where would Steph's show be without you, to some degree? So there is there is a reckoning coming amongst the QAnons that is very frightening in terms of how cults end.
Yeah.
That the ratcheting up of the psychopathy that's going on in that crowd is increasingly disturbing. Now, there'll be a wind down. There'll be a shame wind down on a big chunk of them. The ones that aren't physically dangerous, like this guy's mom. All right.
How do you know this guy's mom isn't physically dangerous? Have you tangled with her?
That's a good point. I have not been to the QAnon Fight Club recently. Oh, I talked about it. Damn. So
did you ever see that meme about I was a few minutes late to my first Fight Club meeting, but I totally recommend it. And
sorry,
can't say no good things about Fight Club.
Yeah, right. We use a gong instead of a rim shot on this show now. That's the rule. That is now the sound for bad jokes.
I just love the idea of the guy missing the very first rule and then going out and promoting Fight Club.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
Good. Explain
Tell
the joke.
Everybody.
Yes, explain the joke. We'll get so
you have to. So you see, there's this thing where you're not supposed to.
But here's this is a genuine concern. So on the QAnon side, these people are nuts. I've watched and there are religious prophets, I've covered it on my live stream, that are still all in on. They've made 10 to 15 solid date and time prophecies about when Trump's going to rise up and, the shackles will come off and he's going to seize power again. And it's like old school crap you heard about the Judas wing of the apostles. There's the theory that Judas loved Jesus the most because he was willing to be the one, because Jesus said, one of you will betray me. And Judas said, all right, that's a necessity. That's part of the prophecy. That's got to happen. If he's not betrayed, he can't do his good work on earth. So I'll go and do it. And then when they caught him and crucified him, Judas killed himself because he was like, that's not how I thought it was going to work out. Right? Is the idea that that there's that side. There's a group of these prophets that believe that Trump is exactly that. That he became the president of a democracy, but what he's really going to do is turn this country around and be effectively a Republican monarch. And the military is already helping him. That's what that woman's tweet was about, or text to her son was about. That the military is in charge. There's a fake Biden signing bills. It is lunacy. But at the same time, the Republicans are courting that lunacy as if it's their only viable base. And at the same time, driving whatever, Kinzinger, Romney base that they might have had, causing them to run for the hills in embarrassment. Now granted, there's going to be 50% of the Republican Party that because they had an R on their jersey, they're going to keep an R on their jersey. And just because their favorite running back this year, where they really thought they had a shot at the Super Bowl, was caught dogfighting and is an awful person, and you find out the organization knew about the dogfighting and still kept him on because they wanted to win, and winning became more important than just having decent players and decent human beings playing a game. That I don't know where I'm getting this analogy from, but it works. I'm just kind of
Yeah, that's weird.
But as long they would rather win the Super Bowl than live within their ethical boundaries. They don't care. Winning in and of itself. That can't be your ringtone.
No.
All right. This is actually it has,
I love that. That can't be your ringtone.
And that's not incredulity on my part. That's an order. No. So,
yeah.
anyways, these folks are in the exact same. The Trump supporters, the maggots and Trumpsters, the Trump dead enders, if Trump is a disease, these are the long haulers. Memory loss, aches and pains, everything seems bad. Those folks are. I find it hard to argue that they are any different than that guy's mother, than that guy's. What is the difference between thinking Trump...
They're less specific. That's the biggest difference.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, they were for a while. Rudy Giuliani and all those guys were pushing this stuff. Now they've bailed on it entirely, and now they're like, in 4 years. 4 years. You watch.
Yes, you wait.
Watch. Let's see. Total race for Bella and drive. Whoop, whoop. We're halfway there. We can do this for Bella. Well, whatever's going on for Bella, I'm for it.
Go Bella.
Chat room. Go Bella. Yay. For those of you who don't know, sometimes we have conversations with people in our chat room randomly because it blazes by due to the vast numbers of people who are joining us in the chat room. As a matter of fact, our numbers, Johnny Million,
talk to me.
In the social media worldsage have grown exponentially since this time last year.
I believe it.
And over the course of just expanding to, streaming on my Facebook page, and also making it available on Twitch, wherein audiences can kind of choose. I don't know why I turned into Popeye all of a sudden. Audiences can choose wherever they want to absorb the show. Really helps us and has grown the audience, not just online, but also in our hometown of Chicago on the air. So It kind of feeds itself, and that's been a really great thing, and I can't be happier that that's what's happening. Because we've been the little show that could for a very long time, And curiously enough, it was, digging in and trying to be a voice of reason during COVID that made the difference for us in a lot of ways. So I blazed past the break. We're going to take a break. We'll be back right after this. We're also taking calls today, 773-763-9278. 773-763-9278. We'll be back. And I don't know why, honestly, I got this here. Something's, no, okay, there's the alert box. Where is it? Oh, it's over here. All right. Oh, it just needs to be bigger. There we go. Excellent.
Make it bigger.
It is. I did. I just did. Thank you, Benny Loco and Rocky Mountain Mike and Benny Loco again and Rogue M42. And Ninka Crinkles, thank you for the subscriptions. And Sonia, thank you for the gift subscriptions. And Cassie, thank you for the gift subscriptions. Welcome back. It's good to see you guys.
All right, we're going live in 60. You have four phone calls.
Wow.
444.
444. Coming back, here we go.
Coming back, here we go.
Thank you, Joe Carter. Yay. Thumbs up. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share the show. I will be back on this afternoon, by the way, with a Rudy Giuliani episode later today.
This is Doris Davenport, host of The Doris Davenport Show. All local, all the time. Now let's get back to Hal Sparks' radio program, Mega Worldwide.
There's news reports coming out, by the way, that Trump is more angry about not having Twitter than he is about losing the presidency.
I was just thinking about that this morning. Like, that's got to be so hard for him. Because he did it for years.
Yeah. Well, and in many ways, Twitter itself and all the social media, his big complaint about them is after Diaper Don trended, which was the catalyst, honest to God, hashtag Diaper Don was the direct reason why he wanted the repeal of Section 230. That's it. That 100%, no other, not because there were people, trying to sell snake oil about COVID that could get people killed. Why would he be upset at that? Not because, people were having arguments about policy he disagreed with. He doesn't even know what policies are. No, it's strictly because hashtag Diaper Don was allowed to trend, and he thought that Twitter was making it trend. Honest to God, his idea.
He just doesn't understand anything.
He believed that he still believes he's more popular than he is. He doesn't understand the campaign bought bots to add to his Twitter account. And because if you tell him, he'll get mad. And so he thought he's super popular. And when he would see something trend that was unflattering, his idea was, well, my 81 million followers or whatever should swamp that with a better hashtag and knock it out of the top trending thing. But obviously they're being ghosted by Twitter, and they would all rush to my defense. And there can't be that many people tweeting about hashtag Diaper Don to get me, to get that up that high. And so it must be that Twitter and Facebook and other social media organizations are intentionally lifting these insulting things that are true about me and embarrassing me on purpose. And therefore, that's editorial content. Therefore, we got to end Section 230 because we got to stop them from embarrassing me by making editorial choices about what trends, because it can't possibly be organic because everyone loves me. Look at the crowds, right? Yep. And then you have to recognize that the repeal of Section 230 would have kicked Trump off of Twitter earlier. Had Section 230 not been there, they would have been liable and responsible for the words that he tweeted. It would become more draconian, what you could say. You would have less latitude to speak. Beyond the terms of service, they would be financially liable for assertions that a businessman of his stature had made.
He's so not interested in facts.
And well, all of his Trump University things that he promoted over the years, Twitter would have been liable. Facebook would have been liable for the flim-flam that he was carrying on. If they weren't platforms, if they were, if they weren't vetting them, if they didn't have this is an advertisement thing and structure, which nobody had early on, if they would have been sued for what he had done. And so their only recourse would have been to kick him off. Dude would have never been president without Section 230, beyond the fact that he wouldn't have been president without Twitter. If Section 230 didn't exist, he wouldn't have had the latitude to spout the crap he was spouting for years, even while he was on The Apprentice. His birtherism crap, all that. So I think it's fascinating. Let's before I get too late, like low in this hour, let me grab at least one caller so we can get into the folks this week. Welcome. Who do we have first, Evan?
First, we got Brian out in Chicago.
Cool. Is it the Brian, John?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Brian in Chicago.
Hey, Brian. Welcome.
Mr. Kinzinger deserves some credit, but on the other hand...
Okay, hold on, Brian. Honest to God, are you using a can of cat food with a piece of string attached to it? Because you need to get your mouth closer to the receiver, or we're getting real hamburger phone sound.
No, I apologize.
Way better.
Hey.
Thank you. There he is. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
I was going to say Mr. Kinzinger deserves credit, but on the other hand, defending the Constitution is what he's supposed to do.
About
And
what? I'm sorry. What are you directly referencing?
Well, Adam Kinzinger and his...
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, he's getting credit for like a very low bar.
Yes. The bar within the Republican Party is it's ridiculous. A cockroach could pole vault it. But please continue, sir.
Yeah, I'm sorry. My big beef is that if you go to his website, he's got a video, and 95% of the video is good as far as him defending his stance regarding the Constitution, but he had to get the one sentence or the one clause about how the left or the Democrats are going to take the country backward.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, he's still...
He's still run. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that is run-of-the-mill campaigning. That's campaign phrasing. And take the country back, what, to Obama,
right,
to Clinton when we had a surplus? Like, honest to God. Don't threaten me with a good time. Arguably, what the Republican Party is yelling about Kinzinger is that he wants to take the party back to Reagan. And they're using that as a pejorative. So I don't expect. Right, seriously. Honestly, Brian, I don't know at what point or how they would even. And I have to be completely frank. I don't care. The survival of the Republican Party is of no interest to me. And I've said for a long time that the entire conversation of genuinely liberal to genuinely conservative in this country happens within the Democratic Party. Everything else is fringe garbage. The Republican Party has left conservative values, whatever those may be, and whatever they meant to stand for, in the dustbin of history a long time ago, and have been running from them ever since. It's like this idea of deficits. How many times,
right?
The Republicans ran on this idea. Well, you need a small government. Small government is the answer. Small government is the only way we're going to really make our dreams. If you have to have a small government. Meanwhile, complaining that China is kicking our ass everywhere. Well, there is no singular example of bigger government on earth than the Chinese. It is maybe control structure Iran, possibly. Possibly the Saudi family. That's a big government. They have control over so much. But the irony is that their way to fight the biggest government in the world, which, obviously, Bill Maher was raging about the infrastructure, the stuff that the Chinese managed to do. I have obviously thoughts on that, having actually been there versus just seeing the pictures in the brochure. That a lot of the buildings are cardboard, and a lot of the growth in China as far as infrastructure is kind of like the inflatable tanks before D-Day on World War II. They're not functional in a lot of ways, and it's a way to scare the rest of the world economically to bend to their will. It's not a bad strategy, but it's not real growth. But while they're saying that the Chinese are going to swamp us, they're going to take us over if we don't do something, the power of our industry, well, one of the reasons why China is able to gain the ground they have is because of government intervention. In the same way the Germans protected their auto industry directly, and we had to scramble to save ours during the recovery. So I hope we're past the small government bragging part, because I want the American government to be equal to the task of the quality of the American people and the nation and its ideals. Because if we're just going to shrink our government so that someone can drown it in a bathtub, as Grover Nordquist said, there are plenty of people lining up for a turn at drowning our government. And they used to be foreign powers. Putin would love to drown our entire government in a bathtub. As would Xi Jinping, as would the Saudis, as would any number of dictators in the world. But now we've got the Republican Party admitting, effectively, that that's their goal as well. Not to just get it small and efficient, but to basically get rid of it. That's what the storming of the Capitol is. That's what the support for Trump is. The Republican Party,
I hear music.
We're bailing. I've got seconds. I was on it. I had a schedule.
Sorry.
That's all right. That's fine. I'll just.
Got 30 seconds.
It.
I
ruined it.
I know. I was trying to be like professional radio and everything.
We do professional radio here?
Sort of. Semi-professional. We're semi-pro. We're like the double A. We're the double A team. You know what I mean? But in reality, there is no Republican Party that supports any kind of ideal, the party of Lincoln nonsense is gone. They're after our government. They want it gone. We'll be back. And I'm face down upon the stage. That's my smile upside down. I cash in a killing wage. Just one more round and I'm face down upon the stage.
I've been singing those lyrics wrong for a long time now.
They're far more meaningful than you thought.
Devin tells on himself.
That's okay. Interpretation is it's so important to music. Yeah, this is. Did you hear about the cops badge they found? That was
no, where
the FU for being there cop.
What? Yeah, I remember him.
So he had a mild
help
heart
him
attack.
FU for being there.
Yeah. He talked about in that interview. They tore my badge off. They tore my radio off. They tore ammo packs, and they were going for my gun. And I said, "Hey, I got kids," and that seemed to work. And yada yada. Well, it's a great interview. It's amazing. Dude's got a spider on his neck. He looks like a prison tattoo. Like he's just
total badass.
Yeah. And there's a dude on SWAT who looks just like him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this guy Jay. He's an actor on there, and it's amazing. Anyway, so he's talking about this. They tore his badge off. Well, they caught one of the Capitol rioters. Dude had it buried in his backyard.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Well, that's some self-awareness.
Well, yeah, I mean, either
like he knew it was a bad thing to have,
or he was like, I'm going to keep it for later, or it was probably witchcraft. But yeah,
probably both.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to keep this for witchcraft later.
Yeah. I'm just.
Yeah, no, you're probably right though. Like he was saving that to be like a
memento,
some sort of trophy.
Yeah, wait it out. But I don't. What's a guy like I going to do? Put it in a safety deposit box? By the way, everybody in
Wang Chung tonight. Thank you.
That's right. Thank you. Yes.
Everybody.
See, that almost worked.
It really works.
It did. It does. Instead of a rim shot, just does not do it anymore. Honest to God.
Nope. That's everybody Wang Chung tonight.
And I swear to God, I'm gonna tour with a gong. Like a live gong.
Just a flaming gong.
Brah, just totally.
And everyone was going, I can't hear the jokes anymore, can you?
It's so much better. Yeah. So
he's loud. He's louder than I thought he'd be.
Let's see. Yeah, the amazing part, I think, is I just don't think people took experience serious enough.
No, they continue to not. Like, that's the whole pushback against science and education and, like, shaming people for being educated. It's ridiculous.
Okay, thank you.
Full phone lines.
Nice. Full phone lines, 60 seconds.
Oh, boy. What did we say? What did we say?
Phone lines are open.
Clearly. Yeah, that's all I just asked.
I think it was one of my jokes. I think people might be calling in.
Because they love them?
Every comment here just says Johnny's terrible jokes.
Yeah, right.
Oh, man, I hope you're not lying
One
to me,
person
Devin.
says Johnny's the best, but, that's just 1 out of 7.
Right.
No, that's a spam. That's a troll. Don't take that one.
Exactly.
That's your That's the robot I put in
That's
place for you, Johnny.
Call. That was why you just heard Katy Perry's roar come out of my phone. I was triggering my robocalls.
I thought that was Hal's phone at first.
No, it was mine.
Oh, by no means.
That's one of my running songs.
Okay, thank you.
I love that song.
That's okay.
Yeah.
I have sleep is the enemy as my wake up, as my alarm on my phone. It's the only noise that comes out of it.
Good.
You're listening to the Hal Sparks Radio.
I use around as work, because that's all I do now.
People walk out of me before, but
you don't do work, hustle, kill by
I didn't even think about that one.
Yeah. By Rob Bailey and the Hustle Standard.
might be a good time for you guys to give up.
We've decided that we are replacing, largely because of Van Halen and I think to some degree Peter Criss, that we are instead of a rim shot for Johnny's dad jokes, we're gonna go full gong from now on. And that, I think, just in and of itself, just the end of the drum solo, like you know what I mean, because that's really what it is. Like after the whole drum solo,
Peter Criss on the drums.
Just right. So, anyways, there's that. Now you have that to look forward to as listeners.
Going, I don't remember him being this screamy.
No, yeah,
it's the gong.
Our good friend Dean Obadiah at the Daily Beast has written an article about how Biden has turned the idea of Reagan saying, I'm from the government and I'm here to help, are the scariest 9 words in the English language or whatever. He's basically, this is a wholesale rejection of that idea. And my argument in all this kind of thing is that you're not going to live in a modern world with real threats and real circumstance and a functioning society where you need traffic to actually, you need yellow lines in the road for a good portion of people so that the rest of us don't die in traffic accidents all the time so we can get on with our lives. You want a functioning economy? You need yellow lines of traffic and functioning stop signs and the vast majority of people to obey those rules as often as possible, not because of some totalitarian overlord telling you how to behave, but because we're all trying to get somewhere. Some rules would help.
Yes.
And there has been a big push in the Republican side of things to move towards what they call is like Republican libertarianism, which is an absurdity. Libertarianism is not a political thought form. It is an individualistic, like self-flagellating, self-congratulatory pile of nonsense.
I've got mine. F off.
Right, and it has no functioning governing system. There is none. It is just simply turn off the lights, and that's it. That's the entire argument. Meanwhile, Republicans have a hard time playing with this because they have to deal with the fact that they're the party of they're coming to get you. They're coming across the border. The Mexicans are coming, and they're bringing Iranians with them, and the Russians are going to bomb us, with nukes, and we've got to have an equal number of mutual assured destruction. And the Chinese didn't just let this virus loose; they sent it to kill us. So we must do everything we can to sell them all of our beef, corn, and soybeans. That was a Trump response to allegedly the largest biological weapons attack, according to them, in history. Was quick, sell them some meat. Anyways, fields of meat, and so
how you're not hitting the gong right now, I don't know.
I don't know. It deserves it. I think I'm not.
Sell them some meat.
So, but it's the people are going to think that's related to China when it's not. Like China is the only country. No. I mean,
that's Peter Criss on the drums.
Yes, Peter Criss's symbol was actually made in the Middle East, I believe. It was a Zildjian, was it not?
I
think pre-Peisty, wasn't it? We'll work it out. We got to take calls before we get too deep into this nonsense. It's going to see.
Okay, if you know what Peter Criss's symbols were,
tell us in the chat. Right at 773-2300. 588. I'm not singing that. We're not getting paid by them. Although, what's wrong with carpet and flooring? It's a good thing, and it's less toxic than it used to be. One hopes. Let's take some calls. This is the problem with, effectively you get slow news days because Trump's not near, white knuckling the rest of us with the end of the world.
Yeah, the legislation passed that might help all of us. Bars and restaurants are going to be rescued.
Yeah.
Let's take a call.
Yeah, right. Who do we have, Devin?
Looks like we got Ruff out in Hickoryville.
As we should. Huh? Ruff, yeah. He was the bass player for Trix. It was a 80s hair metal band that was only around for a short while. RUFF. No, yeah, I'm kidding. Sure. Hey, Ruff, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, Hal, how you doing?
Good.
I called, I'm listening to you about QAnon and that. Let's take it another step further.
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas, Texas. Now the new law they want to put, murdering a woman for having an abortion. I thought abortion was legal. You know?
Well, there have been two of those floated. And they are unconstitutional. They won't.
Yeah.
They will not make it. They're not going to clear that threshold. And I get annoyed when the news carries those stories as if they're real. That's a state senator in both of those places, I believe, or state representative. State senators in their state senate that have floated bills within the state to try and do that. They will fail not just on the U.S. Constitution, but on the constitutions of those states themselves. Those are puff piece bills so that dude can work his way up a ladder of being a purist about abortion where he can that's somebody setting a rung for themselves and so that they can run for a House seat or they're trying to capture that vote. The fact that it's viable within the state politics in those states is the scary part. Yeah. That might be a functional track.
There are people that sit around all day thinking of how to make this work.
Yeah, exactly. And sorry, what you were going to say something rough. I didn't want to we both.
Yeah, we walked up.
I wanted to, like you were talking about the other thing I wanted to say. Ron Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing down here, you're in Illinois, that the Republican Party wants him to step down. They think he can destroy the whole party next year. That I don't think he's going to win re-election.
I don't think so either.
He is just killing this party in which they're not nutcases.
Yeah, but in a lot of ways, what they're doing is they're grabbing the liver from the carcass for themselves and leaving before the whole thing rots. That's they're feeding off this thing, what the remnants of the Republican Party, and they know it's dead in the water on a lot of fronts. They know it's going to go into some form of hibernation. If Trump comes back and tries to make a run in 2023, which he won't, and it'll fail if he does, the Ron Johnson of the world will just clap back right to him. But right now, they can. The writing is on the wall on a lot of fronts. They're going to lose more seats next time because they don't have Trump to piggyback on. You know how they were saying, like, most of the time, a president loses seats in the House and the Senate in their first midterm. Well, you have to understand the mentality around that is that on the Republican side of things, they believe Trump won. So in many ways, they're dealing with a statistical average that they'll lose seats because it's the next, it'll be the midterm of his second term for them. They're going to behave as if I can sit back because they think he's going to come back in 2024. They're going to behave like the lazy voters who think they won last time. And Democrats, because it's such a narrow, the 50-50 split and the narrowing of the majority in the House is going to motivate Democratic voters, and the success of the Biden administration's bills as they put them forward, or the inability to get immigration reform fully passed. Some things will. They may have to split that bill up into pieces, pass it with reconciliation because it deals with budget. But a good portion of it, the citizenship stuff, which most Americans are for, we're going to need 60 votes, or at least put the fear of God into the Republican Party by getting 5 more in the Senate or 6 more, so that they go, this is a margin that's scary, and if we don't start behaving like we're participating in this democracy, we're going to lose. And that's what they're looking down the barrel of. Johnson's like Paul Ryan. Wisconsin Republicans have this thing about setting up a way to financially benefit from a circumstance and then bailing out before the excrement hits the HVAC unit. You know what I mean? Because that's what he did. Paul Ryan got the tax cut and bugged out. Went to private business. Why wouldn't he? That's where the money is. He was going to go. He left and was able to benefit from the Recovery Act, and then start, with his business, and then the tax breaks that came after. That is the plan, and that's the plan for Ron Johnson. He doesn't need the Republican Party. He's going to try and, Mike Flynn is selling QAnon shirts for a living, and he's making bank. It's insane. And he's being paid to give speeches at these like footsie with QAnon groups. It's bad. And a lot of these guys don't know. I mean, their hope is that these guys just go pound sand, that they just take their ball and go home. The Patriot Party movement, for some of them, would never have amounted to 30 to 40% of the Republican Party breaking off into their own section. It was going to be 8% or something that would damage them in future elections really badly, but not enough to change the entire face of the party or split it in half. Wasn't going to happen. And part of them were waiting for, like, you know what, maybe we get rid of these 8% and we gain back the 12% that we lost over the last few years, who have either sat back and not voted, are independents who voted for Biden this time around, or Republicans who changed their moniker. You're talking about an exchange of voters that, they're chasing 8% of these psychopaths and losing 12% of normal Americans. And that's 8% of their party versus 12% of the populace. Those are two different numbers. You got 86 million Republicans in the country, and 200 million adults. Yeah, whatever works. About 200 million adults. You want to lose 12% of 200 million to gain 8% of 80 million? I mean that's how their tax bills are written. I'm starting to understand their economic packages. We have to take a break. Thanks for the call, Ruff. We'll be back right after this with more of your calls. 773-763-9278. Nacho Tube is
Hey
saying,
Hal, how can I get like a fancy green name like all the moderators in the chat?
Are you on YouTube? Let's see. Well, let's go to type something. So I can find you in there.
Do you see it?
There he is. Like, let's see. Where we go? Click on this.
Click on this, pal.
Ta-da! That's how you get it.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've got a wrench. Am I a moderator?
Yes.
I'm going to start kicking people out.
I can't. Yeah. You have to be, if you want a green name, you have to become a member. You have to,
okay. Okay.
Yeah. And
you won't let me. You'll get mad at me if I do that.
Yes, I will. I will get very mad at you. But you use your powers only for good.
I'm telling them to get off my lawn right now.
Let's see.
You're a blue dude, and I'm getting all kinds of love out here. Thank you.
There, great. Excellent.
Do me, Johnny.
Yay.
Oh my God.
All right, now you're going to get carried
60
away.
seconds, guys.
Thank you.
Now I'm being mocked for only having a blue name.
Am I blue?
I will not tire of that.
No, I don't think so. The audience might, but we won't, and that's what's important. I'm coming back soon. Man. Did I tell you I got my second shot?
No, congrats.
Yeah. It's I have to say, it's very relaxing.
Somebody just said the gong is too
Now
loud.
let's get back with House
Too
Sparks
loud?
radio program, Mega
Yes.
Worldwide.
Oh, okay, sorry. Welcome back to the show. I can fix that. It's probably louder than all my other sound effects. Here, we'll check it now. It's more reasonable, I suppose. It should be a little louder, but that's okay. All right, thank you. And by the way, you can now become members on YouTube. If you're a YouTube member, this is just bad. You can join and help support the show there as a regular member, and then of course you can also become a supporter on Facebook if that's your preferred.
Someone
use.
said they can't hear me.
Oh, really? A while
Did
back.
anything change?
No, nothing changed. I hear you. They hear you.
There's only one person so far.
Excellent. Oh, then it's probably
Sorry.
trolling. Let's get to calls. Because I know people are waiting. By the way, right
calls.
now, I want to say there is encouraging signs in terms of the downward trend in cases, and unfortunately, the right now, as of March 11th, we are below the summer peak for the first time. The beginning of the peak. And which is a great sign, and it's trending down. Deaths are trending down as well, but they are above the summer peak, and a lot of that has to do with where they are happening. The deaths that we're seeing. California is obviously a very populous state, so they're above their peak in terms of this is 2 deaths out of 100K. You've got a real spike happening in Virginia, which was extraordinary. Oklahoma, far above peak. Kentucky, Missouri, Arkansas, Utah, Wyoming, Alabama, New Mexico, Maine, and then California. California really being, and Virginia because there's so few. It was they peaked early in the summer, and then they have it shot up, but because there's fewer people there, it shot right down. The vast majority.
Something that needs to be discussed. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's not talked about enough, in my opinion. I have friends who are about my age or a little bit younger who got COVID and struggled a little bit. They didn't have to get hospitalized, but they were wiped out for a while. Mm-hmm. And now they're getting new and exciting immunoresponses, like insane skin rashes from out of nowhere that they have not had before. And so right now they're playing whack-a-mole with going to dermatologists and immunologist specialists and getting steroid shots and trying to figure out, now that I test COVID negative, my body is still freaking out. Mm-hmm. Don't get this thing.
Yeah.
Get the vaccine. Yes. Because just because you're going to survive, that's not awesome. People survive Lyme disease.
Exactly.
And they're not happy about it.
Exactly. People survive the chickenpox and then end up with shingles later on or whatever. It's pretty horrifying. This is...
I don't recommend shingles.
No, I do not either. I've had it, actually.
Yeah, me too. It sucks.
Yeah, it's awful. Still have scars. Good time.
Yeah. Were you stressed? Was stress a part of it?
It was literally triggered within 24 hours of a major stressor. That's all I have to say.
I totally believe it.
One thing hit, and I was like, what happened to my body? It was crazy. Yeah. And the issue with that is that the immunological damage that's done by COVID can spread into a lot of those kind of things. So it's Johnny's right. Don't get it. Get the vaccine. Don't get the disease and go, well, I get a light version of it. The long hauler stories are very horrifying. But the point I was making about the death rates is that while the case rates are going down, and you can track the case rates as far as the highest ones, largely around the highest population states. States with a lot of people in them obviously have more cases. And even per capita because of the closeness of those people, right? Because bigger cities mean more interaction. But the death rates, with the exception of California, which they are coming down but are still above the peak of the summer, which was, and again, this is 2 deaths per 100,000, so, this is, you have to mitigate that towards how close people are together. Again, California is one of those states, a lot more people, a lot closer together, and a lot bigger cities. New York, one major giant city, California has 3, you get my point. The rest of the states are the death rates are high in states with high rates of comorbidities anyways. The same states that have cancer clusters, the same states that have high rates of diabetes, type 2 diabetes, lifestyle diabetes, are seeing the same numbers of deaths. And these are also the same people that are going to be the hardest to convince to take the vaccine. Let's grab another call before I get on a rage about not getting vaccinated. Who do we have, Devin?
Jim in Chicago.
Excellent. Hey, Jim.
Welcome. You there?
I'm just thinking about what stops the Democratic momentum, I think, is if the Republicans realize that everybody could vote the same day, vote by mail, make it easier to vote. And we went up by 3 million in the Hillary election, we went up by 8 million in the Biden election.
Yeah.
You can see the momentum's going to the Democrats. The point is, what puts the fear again on the Republicans, if they realize that everybody in their state gets to vote and gets a fair chance at voting, they'd have to change their tune and become more reasonable. Anyway, you have a great afternoon.
I appreciate the call. That's kind of what I'm talking about the rise of the sensible Republicans, because I got to tell you, as people get more engaged,
the rise of the sensible. I almost said sensual. The rise of the sensual Republican.
That's such a good. I don't. That's why I canceled Skinamax. I'm sorry. That was my bad.
Those are the gong.
I just did it. There you go. I was late on it. I have to have it triggered on a MIDI button or something.
Yeah, you have to.
So there, it's terrible. So he's absolutely right that over time. Technically, conservative thought, anybody conservative who goes to the Democratic side of things, if the Republicans start acting sensible again, they're going to re-register as Republicans. They're going to vote that way. But right now, the Republicans are becoming a regional anti-abortion party. That's it. And yesterday, on my live stream, I looked at some of these right-wing prophets, that are supporting that Trump's coming back. And one of them made a statement, and she was obviously, it was a slip of the tongue. It was one of the things that if Biden had said this, it would be news on Fox for a month that he's losing his mind. But she said we had 350,000 abortions last year in the United States.
I forgot about that.
Which, yeah, and that is, as silly as that slip is, it is indicative of how she sees the threat. It is more of a Freudian slip than a numeric slip. You know what I mean? They look at the country as if it is just overrun with women who want nothing better than to get pregnant so they can get rid of it. That's it. I mean, yeah,
that's all they want.
Right. All that they want is an abortion. Sorry. Okay. So it's just terrible. So it is indicative. Like I said, people slip at the tongue in numbers all the time. There's nothing wrong with that. But she didn't make the number smaller. She made it egregiously larger. And no one corrected her on this show. No one thought, well, obviously you meant 3,500.
Right.
And, and that was, of course, in a diatribe that she and Trump and all these others have pushed the idea that that babies that are malformed so as not to be viable, but survive connected to the mother, that will kill the mom or not survive outside the womb, and the doctor and the parents have to have a conversation about whether or not to try and resuscitate the child because its heart is outside its body. Just horrible situations that these women find themselves in. These parents, men and women, going through this, these are people who have late-term abortions in these circumstances have already painted the baby's room. They have already started to plan if they haven't had a gender reveal party planned, or they're waiting, to tell everybody once the child is born, they've chosen toys and clothes. I know, I have a child. As it gets closer, you start preparing, especially, if it's your first or you're trying really hard, which many of them are, which is, why they have such good, they have medical care that can take care of them. It's a terribly torturous circumstance for a family to find themselves in. And for these people to talk about it as if it's just this flippant, you know what, I decided against it. I don't want to have a boy. I don't want to have a girl. I'll just get rid of it. It's how much you're in labor. Yeah, does that really matter? It's still my body, my choice, right? Until 9. Like, they think that can you imagine thinking that that's how women are? Not just that it randomly happens. Not that just some psycho woman was going to randomly go out and, and at gunpoint force a doctor to do something like this. Yeah. But that they believe women are intrinsically so evil that you have to legislate against that behavior. That you need a law.
And as some women believe that they need to legislate against it. That's just astonishing.
Yeah, exactly. And most of that is based on a religious belief. And a lot of it goes back to the idea that, you've got, original sin. You're just literally dealing with, look, the pain of childbirth is your lot in life. Men will have to till the soil. You're going to have to hurt when you make a baby. And that's just life. And the man should run the household. And if you die making a kid, that was God's plan. And if you and the kid die, that's just to teach the dad a lesson because he wasn't tilling the soil hard enough. There is that swath of people. But those aren't the people you turn to legislate in a secular country with a lot of people and a rule of law. And freedom of religion. Yeah, exactly. We'll be back right after this with more of your calls. 773-763-9278. Don't forget to share the show, guys, if you want to, as we're doing it. and remind everybody that I'll be on again later on this afternoon because because I'm not sure what the content of the shows will be this week because I'm traveling this week. I'm going to take Cam. Yeah, Cam's going to.
Where are you going?
I'm taking my kid to see his grandparents for the first time in a year.
Oh, wow.
Because everybody's had shots.
Yay.
Yeah, except him, obviously. So we're going to keep him in a bubble, and he's going to have to wear like a bouncy suit.
I want to see that.
I'm kidding. He'll be fine. But yeah, my dad and my stepmom and my mom have all gotten their shots, and they're good.
How did you get your vaccine so early, Hal?
They're remnants. They had a thing.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, they had extra doses. So once you got if you could get the extra dose on the first one,
they'll give you the second one.
Then they'll schedule it because you have to have the second dose. So what you just wait, and there was a list of people, and you were like, okay, I'll try and get on the list. And honest to God,
I've seen a lot of it in LA. I've got a lot of friends in LA who are like saying, "Oh, be at this drugstore because they're likely to have leftovers on this day."
That's right. Yeah, and that's basically what happened here, but with the bigger facilities. They have it's at the Cashman Center here and stuff like that. It's a big,
cool.
It's a convention center.
I'm glad that it's not going to waste.
Well, that's the thing is that you're taking it. The idea in the beginning was like you're going to take it from people who need it, and you're like, no. The problem we have is that all the people who won't take it. That's why they had remnants in a lot of the cases too. They could have, if there had been a longer line for people who were qualified, they would have used it on them. They would have made more appointments, but people weren't signing up. They were getting to the end of the line before they were running out of legit doses in the bottles.
And here is the mega worldwide radio program with Hal Sparks.
Welcome back. 773-763-9278 is our number. Infotainmentwars.com is where you can go to see the show. That's I also have Nudesmax, with 1X.
One day that won't make me laugh.
It's not.
I don't know when.
I don't know either. But I've decided to start doing .2 URLs that are all spoofs of the ridiculous networks. Like I might get OANNN or NoAN.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, you know what I mean? NoAN. But we'll figure that out. I keep trying to find Nudesmax. That's right. It's Nudesmax, but it's an X. Never mind. Hello. Let's take some more calls. 773-763-9278. Who do we have, Devin? Devin, is he there? Is he with us?
We got Alan, Madison.
Alan, excellent. Welcome, Alan.
Yeah. Al, hi there, Johnny Million.
Hi there.
Hey.
How's it going, guys?
Excellent. Go ahead.
Going great.
I'm just turning you up in volume on my end, so go ahead.
Hi there. I just wanted to know about if you seen anything on the internet with the stimulus package with people receiving the $1,400 check with calling it Stimmy.
Yes.
And the Biden bucks and things like that.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that was floated immediately like the Obama phone thing. And this is the new version of welfare queens. They're trying to... Here's the idea. By the way, look out for this tactic online. Republicans do this a bunch. Present a morally questionable response from, that's supposedly from a group that is for something. Like people calling a stimulus check the stimmy, and going, I can't wait to get, spend my stimmy and that kind of stuff. And then what you'll find is Republican bots and trolls and sites will boost these things as if they're normal. They'll enter the zeitgeist a little bit, become part of the slang, and then what they'll do is they'll spend a week on Fox and OAN and Newsmax and all those other sites complaining about the existence of the thing that they started themselves. And in a way to... make people, who need the support look bad. That is exactly what's going on. You create a negative hashtag and then promote it artificially. Ask Mike Lindell how that works. But sorry, go ahead.
Right, exactly. Yeah. No, I agree with you on that, and especially when places like Fox News talk about the Obama phone. Well, initially, the Reagan administration started the actual the start of that with like people getting a phone.
Yeah,
like
911. Yeah, 911 doesn't really help if you don't have a phone, and permanently impoverished people having to walk a mile with a head wound after a domestic violence incident wasn't exactly something that they wanted to have to campaign around in Tennessee.
Hard to defend.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, and then obviously, if people would know that the Bush administration, the W's administration, actually made it into what the free phone, but then like the popular and they turned it when it was Obama's administration on, when it was like iPhones and things like that, when they would make it that way. So
and they were and the ones they got were like cricket phones, essentially the flip phones that you could text on. They were baseline things, the ones you see sold to grandparents with ease of use. That's what you end up getting. Or you can subsidize your bill if you have a smartphone and you can pay for it and you're in a lower income thing, so you can have a better phone because you can enter society, because a phone is now an upwardly mobile device.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. So and I live in Wisconsin, so I'm very well aware of our dumb Senator Ron Johnson and all the shenanigans that
it is so weird. Like, he's such an odd dude. I mean, he's one of the Republicans that went to Russia for the 4th of July in 2018.
Oh, yeah.
Had those meetings with Putin, didn't have any note takers present. Really odd. Like, that's... Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, even it's even more beyond like Joe McCarthyism. Ron Johnson started with his campaign like with the ACA being the worst thing in American history, and it's like, really, like access to healthcare is the worst thing America's ever come across. It's like the weird.
The hyperbole seems awkward. It seems like it's hard to believe. There are awful things in the world. You know what I mean? Like, the worst thing in the world would be if the Democrats tried to pass a pro-Night Stalker bill. You know what I mean? Like, you have to save stuff for, like, we need to let every serial murderer out of jail. Like, if you pass a bill like that, that's probably the worst. That would tack up there. But in terms of the Republican Party's looking at, like, yesterday, Mark Levin calls Biden's speech about the COVID relief and talking about the people who died and how we need to, people have genuinely suffered, all this. The most dangerous speech ever given by a demagogue in history or something. Like, he called it dangerous. It was bizarre. And look, I know you don't like the guy. I know you don't appreciate his bills, and I know you fear the leaning towards socialism that you think exists in the bills, which doesn't. But let's just go with your panic attack. I know you're scared of that, but can you just for a second stop with he's literally a blood-drinking devil? It's tiresome. It really
undermines the argument.
It does. It's hard for me to hang. So do you think, and being in Wisconsin, last thing, but being in Wisconsin, do you think Johnson's got a shot next time around? What's your feeling?
Well, here's the thing. It really depends on who ends up out of the primary, because as of right now, there is 3 candidates that have announced, and it's going to just depend on who gets out of that. It's going to really depend, and especially so I worked with Obama's campaign in Wisconsin back in 2012, and I think what really was successful with President Obama getting reelected was folks in Chicago actually came up to Wisconsin, southern parts of Wisconsin where I was working at, and helping getting the ground, and then also with how Wisconsin's Democrat Party has been doing really well ever since the last spring with their Supreme Court election, and obviously with winning with Biden also as well. As long as there's a solid ground game, the candidate is very much kind of in the realm of Tony Evers and Tammy Baldwin, effective Democrats like Joe Biden is.
Yeah.
Things like that. I think we have a really good chance at it, but we have to, the work is there. Like we didn't win Wisconsin handily either. It's going to be tight again, probably.
Yeah.
It's going to be like that for a long time, but just got to keep the gas pedal at it. And
yeah, there's obviously there is a lot to the, the back and forths and that Wisconsin was a tight presidential race. But Wisconsin, if everybody can vote, everybody does vote as best they can. It's a pretty good voting state. So there's a lot of engagement. It's impressive. So as long as
especially November.
Yes, and that overtly benefits Democrats in the long haul because there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of Republicans, quite frankly, who just walk. They're done. They're already got a foot out the door because of Trump didn't win, and they were lied to and lied to and lied to, and now they're like, maybe I'll come back in 24 if he runs again because he was my dude, but they're not going to go there to back a reasonable Republican, and the reasonable Republicans in Wisconsin aren't going to rally behind a Ron Johnson again. So it'll be one of the ones to watch. It definitely will be worth the ground game. I'm glad you're there. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate the call.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate the call. Thank you for taking it, guys. Take
absolutely.
care.
Let me grab one more call before we hit this break so I can get one more person in because I know we have full phone lines. So, Devin, who do we have?
Next caller, we got Cindy out in Michigan.
Excellent. Another state that was thrown by the deep state. And hi, Cindy. Welcome. Good to have you back.
Hi, Hal. Hi, Johnny.
Hey, Cindy.
Georgia with the so-called voter fraud and Trump trying to get that turned over and all that. Well, then now they've come up with these new rules, and the ones that I thought were interesting. Not only were they trying to tighten down the amount of time that people can vote and all the mail-in and no excuse mail-in and all of that. Now you can't have chairs while you're in line, no food while you're in line. So, this is what we do.
They really don't like voters.
You don't just give up.
Yeah.
You don't just give up. You get every wheelchair you can find and you sit in the wheelchair. That's what you do. And then they have wheelchairs. They can't take your wheelchair away.
Right. That's a good point.
No matter what. Or you can lend it, And people that are diabetics that have to have food, they need to sue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a great point.
Class action lawsuit.
Right.
Who's going to take the food away? Who's going to be that guy to enforce the get out of that chair, Grandma, hand me that granola bar?
Right.
They just want to scare people from even coming out. That's the main thing. But the main thing I wanted to say was 40 years ago, the biggest delusion, which we call the big lie, is the new voting. There was all this voter fraud.
Right.
The first delusion, the first lie, was the trickle down. And that's the lie that is getting eliminated right now with this new bill for all of this COVID money getting out. I mean, I work in a credit union. So I'm already seeing people checking their accounts. Hey, my money's going to come in on Monday. My money's coming in on Sunday. Hey, I've got money coming in for each kid. I had somebody who was very QAnon, very pro-Trump, who was in there saying earlier, I'm not taking that thing. I'm not taking the vaccine. I don't believe in any of this. But when she saw that money's coming in for each of her kids, hey, this doesn't sound so bad.
Right.
And I said, guess what? There's more good stuff coming if you're looking at it that way.
Because they govern for all the people.
Eliminated. Well, the trickle down for me, when I watched all this happen over a long period of time, it built in their racism. It built in, making unions almost non-existent because they kept saying, well, if you give corporations all of this money and you don't put it into the government right away, and it trickles down, you don't need a union.
No, you don't. You trust us. And by the way,
but you do.
Of course, of course. And here's another thing, and this is the part that I think people miss all the time. Post World War II was the greatest industrial, like the growth of the middle class really peaked post World War II. It was, the largest. 11 million cars coming on the road in 3 years' time. For the, when people.
And what were they up to? What were they up to post World War II?
Fighting somebody.
Can I at least make a point?
Yes, please.
I watched this little clip and I keep it with me, a clip of the show The Roosevelt. Mm-hmm. It's a show that Ken Burns did for PBS, and there's a little tiny piece about the Willow Run plant in Ypsilanti, Michigan, where they retooled that plant within 6 months to take from cars that had 35,000 parts to B-24s with 1.5 million parts that ran off that line, one plane every hour. And that took until we were at a point, they were able to retool and use the exact same enthusiasm, the exact same strategy that Joe Biden just did to get this thing done and get some other things done. That's the same kind of stuff that they were doing then.
Yeah, I think personally,
actually at the end of it, there was a labor shortage.
Yeah, well, we had 1.2% unemployment after World War II. And by the way, the Republicans at that time were arguing that we were going to have hyperinflation and high unemployment. Because there was not enough,
and that never happened.
No, it never happened. It was always the argument, the idea. Yeah,
never happened.
Right. So I appreciate the call. We got to take a break.
So sure. Thank you, Hal.
Yeah,
bye,
thank
Jen.
you, Cindy. Yeah.
Bye, Cindy.
We went 2 minutes over the break or whatever, but we'll be back right after this. It's the Hal Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. Yeah, the biggest corporate subsidies in history came post-World War II. But because it was in the shadow of a war, nobody cared. Everybody's like, well, yeah, we got to retool our factories and stuff.
Right.
Well, they didn't just get to, turn them. They got to upgrade them. They got to make them better and more productive. And as soon as people came back, they had more workers to pull from. And because we weren't bombed like England.
60 seconds, guys.
Thank you. Like Europe was. We had a functioning industrial base.
And 2 callers left.
Excellent. It's amazing to me that, because after World War II, huge government spending, huge government investment, and the years afterwards to make sure that it carried through. We'll be back in seconds. And by the way, chat room, you're killing it today. Just saying. I can always tell when the text parts get longer.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, let's see. We have to.
Welcome back to the Hal Sparks radio program, Mega Worldwide. It's now time for the happy ending. Yay!
Well, the happy ending, of course, is that we've got callers continuing with us, and quite frankly, that we've discovered our new comedy accent. I think that in and of itself. And Leah, thanks for being on Twitch. Thanks for everybody for subscribing on Twitch, twitch.tv/Hal Sparks. If you want to support the show and you don't want to spend any money, and you happen to be an Amazon Prime member, you can link your account to Twitch and you can subscribe to the show, and it doesn't cost you anything at all. Subscribe with Amazon Prime, doesn't cost you a dime, and that helps us out. You can double up on that one. That's great. Just saying. But let's grab these last 2 callers because I want to make sure we get to them because some of them have been waiting. Who do we have, Devin?
Next, we got Erica in Chicago.
Erica, welcome.
Hello, Hal?
Hi. Welcome.
Hello?
Yep, we hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead. You're on.
Hello?
Yes, you're there. Hello? I can hear you. You can't hear me.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Hal.
Hi, are you there?
No. But it's, yes, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. I was listening to your show. I was watching a show with you when Biden came on with his speech. And afterwards, you got emotional, and I think everybody got emotional about the journey through the year.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know how you were doing And I also wanted to tell you, like, I was cheating during this pandemic. I would go out on Saturdays for a drive in my car, just with my dog. And I had my radio on WCPT, listening to Joan and Tom and blah, blah. And I discovered you. And then I went online, and I'm watching you, like, right now. I see you on YouTube. Hi.
Hi. Oh, yeah.
I see Johnny right there. But you changed everything for me. And it was so important through your comedy and everything. Yeah, she waving. And how are you doing? I mean, that was really tough.
For those,
how are you doing right now?
I appreciate you asking. For those of you that don't know, after Biden's initial speech about the COVID bill passing and stuff, and him talking about the people who passed, and there was, I think, one particular part in it where he spoke about grandparents not seeing their grandkids for a while. And it was that day that I had just told my dad, this was Thursday, that I had just told my dad that we were coming to see him, that I was going to get to bring my son to see him. And he, you know, he's on dialysis now. He can't, you know, he's healthy.
Wait, what?
My dad is, yeah. And so, and he's doing well. I mean, he's not a wreck and he's not bedbound or anything. He's active, but it's part of his life now. And it started last year, and going through COVID and watching him go through that and going, now he's got to go to medical appointments, and is he safe where he's going and all this stuff. And then still not seeing his grandkid, you know, and wanting to, and we didn't get to spend time there that last summer with him like we'd wanted to because of that very reason. So that day when Biden gave that speech and the bill had passed, and it really looked like we're going to have enough vaccine for everybody, and the safety part of it will be less of an issue. I had an emotional moment. I teared up on my live stream and told everybody, you know, because I don't shy away from that kind of stuff. It doesn't bother me. But I know that a lot of people went through. We've all been soldiering this, and some people, stress is one of those things where people don't realize how much of it they're carrying. You maintain. You have to find a way to deal. You do. You got to continue to be able to, you know, get up every day, put one foot in front of the other, and move on with life. But you also have to find ways to mitigate that stress. And a lot of people, I think, a lot of the lash out and the crazier parts that have sprung up during this in the QAnon crowd, and is even symptomatic of people just freaking out. That this is a crazy time, and having the tools to be able to deal with it. I felt like I had a responsibility to others who were on the edge themselves to try and make sure they're on the safe side of the canoe wall, and because there were going to be a lot of people who were just dropping off the edge of it, and if I could contribute to that, that's what I did. And so it took me, you know, it was almost like the 1 year anniversary, but last year before this started, and to reiterate it for some of the listeners on the radio who didn't see this or don't know, but right before lockdown, I drove from Vegas, where I am now, to Los Angeles to get some of my stuff, because if I was going to ride out this lockdown, my girlfriend and I were going to do it together as a family with her son and my kid when he's there. And so we decided, you know, we'll do it here. It's easier for me to move myself than her. So I went and came. On my drive back, I was listening to the radio and people were talking about this. And I knew about the virus, and I knew about it in China, because I've been to China several times, and I'd even warned about it, many of you will remember, on this very show in 2019. December of 2019, I was telling people that this thing is coming, and you need to wash your hands and, you know, and socially distance, and if you don't go out if you're sick. We weren't quite at mask zone, but... and on my drive back, I broke down. I kind of saw what we were headed towards, and it was gonna be bad, and the sorrow of it sort of swept over me. I had to pull over and just cry it out. And then as soon as I did, I was like, okay, how can I help? How do I contribute? And I feel like because we've gone through this collectively, it's very different when people have a diverse life experience. There's good things about that, but there's also bad things about it, because your pain is not my pain. And the misunderstanding around other people's pain has always been part of the problem. It's at the root of racism, sexism, classism. is that ultimately someone can't feel your pain. They can try, and we should all grow our empathetic reflex and our understanding of what other people's past, but you can't actually. You know what I mean? You can't even pretend to. But this thing that happened to all of us, this is even different than the AIDS crisis, which people could stiff arm and believe it wasn't their community, it wasn't their group, it was someone else's group, and as long as
they deserved it.
Right, exactly. There was a big, it talks about that. The 2008 crash, lots of people made money off of that part of it. But COVID can take anybody, and you didn't know if you'd be the outlier in this. And we're still dealing with it, so everybody needs to continue to wash your hands, wear masks, practice physical distancing. I don't call it social distancing. It's annoying. I try as best I can to remember to do that. But it's crucial that you survive this and don't get it until you can get the vaccine. You'll be right as rain. But as we've all gone through this, we've all shared this. Now everybody's going to take a different conclusion from it. Clearly, people are going to have different reactions. But we have gone through worldwide a unifying experience in a lot of ways. That when you go travel, and you will this year, many of you will fly internationally for the first time in a long time. You will interact with people who speak a different language, live a different culture, and had exactly the same experience you did emotionally. Same feelings, same worry, same concern about who they could see and who they couldn't see, whether or not their elders would survive it, whether or not their newborn would get sick. They heard the same stories because the same stories happened in their country. And that, more than anything, I think, is something that when you talk about unity and healing and the ability for people to get together, as a community, as a country, that's one of those things where we've shared this. And no matter what anybody kind of makes up their reasoning, whether it was a plandemic or whether or not masks helped or didn't help, or whether Trump had a real ban or not, all those arguments politically don't change the fact that emotionally we all went through the same thing. We all understood that our behavior affects somebody else's, their behavior affects ours, and we're all just trying to survive. We're all trying to make the best of our lives. And please, please, please continue to take care of yourself. I look forward to your vaccine stories. I'm excited for when Johnny gets his shot.
Yeah, me too.
And we'll see you guys next week. Thanks for the other callers that we didn't get to. We will talk to you next week. Thank you for calling in. And it's the House Sparks Radio program, Mega Worldwide. The podcast is on the Sexy Liberal Network, sexyliberal.com, and a new Sexy Liberal show, April 10th.
All right, Hal. We'll talk to you guys next week.
Thanks,
Bye, Johnny.
Yeah.
Thanks, Devin. Good seeing you.
Thanks a lot.
Nice talking to you too.
Cheers. Yeah, I'm looking forward to when you can get back in studio again there. Make the drive.
Oh, yeah. It'll be a lot closer for me now.
Is it? Oh, nice. It's great. And by the way, chat room, wonderful. There you are. Thanks, Johnny. And thanks for everybody who called in or tried to call in too. That's in the chat room. I appreciate when you guys call in particularly. It's nice to have you kind of in both places. It's like watching it fuse together. I'm just watching it blaze by. It always happens near the end of the show. It's like, hurrah!
Yeah, it's really fast.
Yeah, it is. It's a little hard to manage. At some point, I'll have like a team of, like those people they have at YouTube that watch for videos that should be taken down.
They're fast.
Yeah. Man, are they. So, all right, I'm going to sign off early because I'm going to be back later on, and I've got to go start packing. I've got to gather up.
That's exciting.
Yeah, here, I'll show you something. So I had to, I don't want to step too far away because I'll choke myself. This is the camera I use for the show, the Sony A5100. Thanks to our
What do you mean the show?
This show.
So how can we see it now?
I got another one used on eBay
awesome.
thanks to our patrons. So the idea was eventually to have 3 and shoot a 3-camera show once people can get back together. So I was like accumulating these things because they work great and they're not expensive. And I found a used one. It came with 2 other lenses for like $400. So I was like, okay, this is, rather than buy like a $900 Sony camcorder, which is a little ridiculous. But this is what I run the show on here, and it came in time to take with me on the road, so I will be able to do that. And I have this is what I use to get it into the computer, the Cam Link, and then this is the cable that goes from the camera into the Cam Link. Like I'm building a travel kit so that I can take this show and the quality of it that we've come to expect when I go on the road. Before I used to go, well, I'll use a laptop and a webcam and hope for the best, and But now it's since it's a real endeavor, and I feel like the quality of the show has to maintain. There, it raises the bar. You got to raise the bar, or Spartacus. And so
you do have that. There is a security camera behind you. I'm pointing to it with my mouse. Do you see it on your background? Other side.
On my background, on the others, up here.
There. Oh, that's like a security camera, isn't it? Oh, not there.
Oh, I see. Yeah, no. You're seeing what you're not. They're not seeing what you're seeing at all.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, I use a different background for your thing. Yeah. I can put up the background of what you'll see, but it creates a video loop in there of you seeing you and me because we're both together on the screen.
Oh, okay.
And my computer will go do and try to do the math on every video, and then
I love it.
And then start smoking. So can somebody post the instructions for linking Twitch and Amazon? That's a great idea.
Yeah, I actually tried to do that once and couldn't quite figure it out.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, the hard part is some of these things are weird. CSL, you may have a better view of that than I do, because since I'm the account pushing stuff out, I have a different view than people do. So it's hard to tech talk their experience.
Tech talk.
Which is why I started subscribing to some other people.
So you can see what it was like.
Yeah, so that I could go on their show and watch what they go through and use that process myself. But I have yet to do that part of it. So, yeah. Oh, there's a video. Can't Stop Line just posted a video on how to do it. You have to use a desktop to use your Prime on Switch. Oh, I see. You do it if you're watching on a regular computer. It doesn't work on there. Well, you have to use your computer to subscribe. You can watch it on your phone later if you're already subscribed, as it were. Corinne, thank you for gifting a sub to our Spartan. That's very nice. And thank you guys for the super chats. And Aggie, thanks for the Swedish kronar. It's always wonderful. I can't wait to go to Sweden now. I don't like
you
Aggie,
love the Swedish kroner.
Yeah, I do. But in all honesty, like there are a couple of countries that I was like, I like and appreciate them, but they're not the ones that are pulling me. You know how that is? Like
sure.
For a long time, China pulled me. I've been there many, many times. Oddly enough, Japan started to pull me a couple years ago. I was like, I'd like to go there. It just happened organically.
Mm-hmm.
But when COVID started, it was Italy. Because it was so bad there.
Yeah.
And they were talking about the elders who were dying and the people who were, like a generation of Italians could get wiped out. And it's one of those, that would be terrible to miss as a human being.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I was like, all of a sudden, I'm like, I kind of need to go to Italy.
What's so crazy is that my mother and father-in-law have been dying to go to Italy for years, and they finally planned a trip, and it was going to be for April of 2020.
Holy shit.
And so, they've been building up. It was going to be this whole thing. And then, as they were watching it, they're watching the news going, this is not going to happen.
Oh, no.
They were so heartbroken.
Yeah. Like I said, I kind of just never, I like the idea of it. I mean, what's not to like? But it wasn't like, oh, I got to go.
Yeah.
Italy and now Sweden. Although I will admit that I will more than likely, if I go to Sweden, I will hit Norway, where my stepmom is from, and, the surrounding, Northern European countries.
Once you're up there, you might as well make a run at it.
Why not? And I can't wait to see Amsterdam, which is what Mormons call it, I think.
That's so awesome.
All right, I'm signing off. You're wonderful.
All
Love
right.
you, brother. See you
All
later.
right, love you too.
Take care of
I'll
yourself.
see you next
Take care
week.
of somebody. Yes, indeed. And I will be doing the show from Kentucky next week. So
Neato. I can't wait.
Wish me luck.
Hoping for some cameos.
Yes. Yeah, there
Okay.
will be.
Okay.
Indeed. All right. Cheers. See you later. Bye. Bye. Okay, and bye everybody on this. Okay, we'll go to just me. And you guys, I will be back on at the regular time to do the to get that Rudy out of the way, because it's, I mean, I feel like, yeah, let's all go to Iceland. It's a great idea. Oh, I'm sorry, I had to cancel your trip. You live in Italy? Oh, man. Yeah, I'm doing a shit ton of traveling. I need to do at least like one, for my own mental sanity after this year. I need to do like a week of backpacking by myself someplace just to clear the dust off, if summer will let me. But yeah. So I will see you guys later on. All right. Yes, I will do some ice fishing. All right. Cheers. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and I'll see you guys later. 4 o'clock my time, if that works for everybody. About that. 4 p.m. It's a Saturday, so we're a little loosey-goosey with the times. And I've got some honey-do list stuff to do today, so 4 will give me a window. All right. Oh, nice. We sold them at a Motang shirt. Right on. That's fantastic. Yes, Motang shirts are available, so check them out. Links below and stuff and business things. Okay, bye.